Dave, let me know when you're ready, and then I can send
We're
the
going
link.
live right now. How come we can't see?
We can't hear anything.
Welcome to the 15th annual Large Kirpin Family Seder. I am your host, Dave Kirpin, and with me, as always, is my amazing co-host, partner in crime, wife, business partner, love of my life, one and only mother. Welcome
and
to
so
the 15th
much more
annual Large Kirpin Family Seder. I am your host, Dave Kirpin, and with me, as always, my amazing co-host, partner in crime. All right.
You fix it. Just
you know, the beauty is we are just rolling with we're rolling.
Yes.
We're rolling.
We're good. You want me to check?
I'm not going to let anything stop me. We have had so many challenges.
Tech support, just to make sure. Continue. Keep going.
In the world. And obviously, normally I host a very, very large Seder with friends and family. We had 80 people in my home last year. It was an amazing experience. And things have changed, of course, for all of us across the globe. But I said, there's no way we cannot do a Seder. So what are we going to do? We're going to live stream it. So I've got a few very, very special friends that I've asked to stop by and join this Seder. And we have lots of people watching at home, hopefully, from all over the world. I know that they're watching on YouTube and they're watching on Facebook, and I appreciate everyone that's tuned in for this madness. And we're going to be using the 30-minute Haggadah as featured on 30minuteseder.com. My good friends at 30minuteseder.com have been providing us with this Haggadah for years, and I am super excited to use it today. So if you want to follow along at home, and we are also going to try to raise some money for a great cause today. If you would like to raise money for the America's Food Fund for COVID relief, you can go throughout the broadcast to wait for it, giveforpassover.com. That's giveforpassover.com, and you can contribute. And I thank you in advance for any of your generosity. If you're watching, it is very, very greatly appreciated. So, Passover is my favorite holiday. It's my favorite holiday because it's about gratitude for what we have. And I think at times like this, when we've all been struggling, we've all been grieving. In fact, I mentioned, I wrote the other day that we're all grieving, and I lost my mom 3 weeks ago. So of course I'm grieving that, but I think we're all grieving. We're grieving the loss of normalcy. We're grieving in many cases, small business owners are grieving the loss of their small business or the loss of some staff. People are grieving the loss of their jobs, the loss of being able to go out. I mean, we are all grieving as a globe. And so at a time like this, it's harder than ever to feel gratitude. And yet I think it's more important than ever to feel gratitude, to change our mindset, to be happy for what we have. And Passover is, in fact, a story that reminds us that we Jewish people were once slaves in Egypt, and that if we're free, then we have a lot. We have a lot to be grateful for, no matter what else is going on. So enough of that. I'm going to now turn it over to the beginning of our Haggadah. Let's see if I do this right. I'm sure we'll have lots of technical difficulties, but the good news is, per Passover instructions, I have an enormous jug of wine.
Does this go to scale? Does it show? Can you see actually how large this is?
I think people that are watching can see this is an enormous,
a comically large Manischewitz.
Enormous, and if any of you have had Manischewitz wine, it's the finest wine. I mean, it's
so sweet,
excellent, sweet wine. So I will be drinking that per Jewish law throughout the next 35 minutes. Okay, where were we? I'm going to share my screen. See how this works.
Which are you trying to share?
I'm trying to share the Haggadah.
Where is the Haggadah?
Seeing the Haggadah. Hold on. I'm gonna pull it up.
Okay.
Very exciting. Here we go.
Right.
I'm not gonna pause anything. Yeah, I'm just
not pause them.
Go to this. This is the Haggadah on the Google Chrome. So now I go back to YouTube.
What I would do is share.
See how it theoretically
it's not popping up. So I think I would share desktop one.
Let's see here. Zoom. We're gonna share.
Right there.
There it is.
You got it.
There it is.
Look at this.
All right.
Gorgeous.
So.
Important notice if you're in Google Chrome to view this. I think you're going to have a problem, but we'll figure it out from there. It said at the top, important notice if you're using Google Chrome to view this.
Should I ignore that important notice?
We're going to ignore the important notice.
I'm going to ignore it, and hopefully,
go with the flow for this face-up.
If you're watching at home, hopefully you can see my screen. If it's very small, then click big. I actually might have to do that myself.
Yeah. I think
to
it'll be
control the
okay.
Zoom.
I
All
mean,
right.
I think if
We're going to figure it out. It's fine.
hopefully
It's fine.
Anita or somebody, whoever starts.
And I have a few special guests I just want to introduce to you before we get started. I don't know if you can see their little boxes, but I have some wonderful friends from through the years. This Seder was put together in part by somebody that I've been mentoring, a young, my apprentice and my new business partner with Remembering.live, which is a service, if there are grieving families out there, for virtual memorial and Shiva services. Sam Nesbitt, my apprentice and new business partner, put this together. And so he is here. And I think it's really also just awesome and appropriate that one of my mentors is here as well. Jim McCann, the co-founder and chairman of 1-800-Flowers.com is here. A good friend from Port Washington, a multiple New York Times bestselling author, Dan Paisner is here. And then two of my closest lady friends in the world. We've got one of the leading experts in education, private education. Dana Haddad is here with her beautiful, beautiful daughter, Callie. And then a dear friend and a wonderful podcast host and actress, Anita Rosner, is here as well. And so it's great to have you guys here. So I will call on you a couple times to mix up the reading. I mean, I know people have told me I have a great face for radio, but I don't want to talk straight. So I will definitely give it up to some other folks to lead us through this Seder. So that being said, I'm going to jump in here. We've got Passover tonight. All the elements of an exciting story: slavery and oppression, followed by freedom and redemption with hope for the future. That's probably why many people, myself included, name Passover as their favorite Jewish holiday. And while this Haggadah is designed to educate us about our past, it is also written to help us appreciate what we have today. It encourages dialogue with our children by asking questions, giving examples, and telling stories. It takes us from the time when we were slaves and had to eat the bread of affliction through the time we were freed and chose to eat matzah, the bread of freedom. This is sweet, sweet, tasty matzah right here. It's a story that has a sad beginning and a happy ending. The Seder is a time to reflect on those less fortunate than ourselves, as well as the good fortune we now enjoy. In that spirit, let no stranger be alone on Seder night. Let them all be here in our virtual home, and invite anyone who wishes to participate. And I like to take that quite literally, letting everyone on Facebook and YouTube participate. We were once all slaves to Pharaoh, and we were freed by the mighty hand of God. So in preparation for the Seder, we have gotten rid of all the bread in our house and replaced it with matzah. It is not the Sabbath, so I'm going to skip this. I am going to walk you guys through the Seder plate, and thank goodness for my lovely partner, Carrie, who is going to show you the Seder plate right here.
And so when you name each side, hold it up.
All right, thank you so much. So we've got first the matzah. One on top of the other. Matzah covers are available for purchase. I'm going to skip that part. We'll be eating matzah several times throughout the Seder. Next up, we've got the maror. This is a bitter herb symbolizing the bitter life that Jews led while they were slaves in Egypt. We eat them twice during the Seder. Next up, we've got thank you. We use some horseradish here. Very, very spicy horseradish. We've got some charoset, which is thank you. Charoset. What have you got here?
This is a mix of apples, walnuts, honey, and a little bit of cinnamon. Very nice.
We've got the, by the way, the charoset reminds us of the mortar when we were slaves in Egypt and had to build the pyramids with the mortar. Next, we've got the zeroa, or a roasted bone. It's a symbol of God's mighty arm that convinced the Egyptians to free the slaves. We've got the hard-boiled egg. This I'm not going to hold up that egg. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. This was ordered. It's vile.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. I'm just going to show you the egg. I'm not going to touch the egg.
And then I'm going to dispose of it.
We may not keep the egg for much longer, but the egg reminds us of the sacrifice and also it's a symbol of mourning. So I'm glad we do have it here, even if it's quite smelly. I really love, the reason I love the egg is for the circle of life. Reminds us of the cycle of life. And right now, all of us are in a very, very challenging time in life cycle, dealing with the global pandemic. And but it's circular, and things will come back around, and we will return to a new normal, a normal of sorts for sure. Next up, we've got the karpas, which is usually parsley. Thank you, Carrie. We've got some parsley right there. Oh, in the aftermath of that egg, that was unexpected live Seder action with our special egg. Okay, moving on. We've got the salt water that represents the sweat and the tears of our ancestors in bondage. And finally, the not one, not two, not three, but 4 cups of wine. In fact, I'm ready, Kat. Pour me, if you would, the first glass of Manischewitz wine.
Oh God, where's the handle? Oh, there's not even a handle on this giant jug.
And as she does that, I'm going to note that it's traditional that each person's cup be filled by the person sitting next to them. So hopefully, if you have somebody next to you, and if you have some wine, you shouldn't drink. You shouldn't pour your own glass of wine. You should pour for somebody else. So
Thank you, Dave.
My pleasure.
Okay.
All right. And by the way, I'm just quoting this. I'm just quoting what the Haggadah says. During the Seder proceedings, whenever wine is consumed, it's customary to drink the entire cup. So I'm hoping and assuming most of you are not doing a lot of driving after this today. Where would you even go? So hopefully you're at home, and please do enjoy your wine.
Or you want to wait until?
I am now. Speaking of that, pour your first glass, and let's get ready to do a little blessing here. So join me if you know it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Cheers. Sweet, sweet. No. Thanks, God. Okay. What's that show where they get drunk on camera? It's like drinking a history.
Oh, drunk history.
Drunk history. This could be kind of like drunk history, but it's drunk history of the Jewish people in the land of Exodus. All right. So we did the first glass of wine, and now we're going to focus on the next thing that usually I skip over, but it's more important than ever before: the washing of the hands. Everyone should wash their hands at the sink. Please use soap and water and count to 20. And we now wash our hands 6 times a day, but make sure that you wash your hands here. In all seriousness, washing the hands is super, super important. So please, please, please remember. Right before. Next, the vegetable, are known as the karpas. Everyone takes a vegetable other than maror. So we've got some parsley here, and we're going to dip it into salt water.
Not that one. The other one.
Thank you.
That's the horseradish. That would have been a good treat.
I haven't even barely started drinking.
You got it.
Okay, and now Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri ha'adamah. Thank you for making the fruit of the earth here. Now, the breaking of the matzah. This is where this gets fun. I have every year done a virtual afikomen. So we're going to do an afikomen that we hide here in my room, but more important, we're going to do an afikomen that I hide somewhere around the world. And I have hidden a virtual afikomen very, very specifically. And anyone that's watching on YouTube will have an opportunity to win that afikomen later and win a terrific prize, a gift card to Amazon.com. So who wouldn't want a free gift card to Amazon.com right now to get all the essentials?
Okay, the afikomen is ready.
All right, thank you very much. In haste, we did go out of Egypt. We'll hide the afikomen. Now, we're going to, I'm going to actually turn it over to our first special reader right now, Dana. I'm going to have you read to us about the matzah being the symbol of affliction and poverty. So let me just do a little unmuting and see if this works. So we begin with the story of Passover and my wonderful friend, Dana.
Thank you, Dave. I'm thrilled to be here. Hag Sameach. Am I starting with the story of Passover, Megan?
Yeah, you got it.
All right. The matzah is a symbol of affliction and poverty. The story of Passover tells us about the hardships and suffering that our ancestors endured. It reminds us of those who are in need today. So we say, whoever is hungry, come share our food and celebrate Passover. To those who are poor or oppressed, we pray for them and hope that the coming year will bring a better life for all.
Thank you very much, Dana. And next up, we've got the 4 questions. So normally we do the youngest person, and Seth's not with us because we have another Seder with him in a little while, and I thought it was too much to have Seth on here. And so I'm gonna take the 4 questions myself. We're gonna pour the second cup of wine, if you can believe it already. So Carrie, give me a little top off, if you would. Thank you very, very much.
Can you hold it up?
Thank you. There's been a lot of memes about why this night is different from all other nights with what's going on in the world, but I will suggest that no matter what, this night is different from all other nights because of these 4 questions. So I'm going to just have at it right now. We've got Manish Tana Halayla Hazemi Kol Halelot Shebekol Halelot Anu Oklin Chametzu Matzah Halayla Hazeh Kulo Matzah Shebechol Halelot Anu Clean She'ar Yirakot Halayla Hazeh Maror Shebechol Halelot Ein Anu Matbilin Afilu Pa'am Echad Halayla Hazeh Halayla. Why is this night different from all other nights? In what ways do you find this different? On all other nights, we may eat chametz, that's bread and matzah, but on this night, only matzah. On all other nights, we eat vegetables, but on this night, only maror. On all other nights, we don't dip even once, but on this night, we dip twice. Shebekol halelot anu ochlin beyushvin uvein misubin halayla hazeh kulanu misubin. On all other nights, we eat sitting up or reclining, but on this night, we all recline to the left. And now I turn, we're going to do the answering the 4 questions. And since we had so much time to prepare, I'm going to say ahead of time that we're going to have the 4 children I'm going to divide up amongst our wonderful guests here today. So I'm going to ask my great friend and mentor, Jim McCann, to do the wise child. I'm going to have the lovely Anita Rosner do the wicked child. Carrie will bring it back to you for the child too young to ask in just a moment. So the 4 questions are in fact not 4 questions at all. There are 4 statements that clarify the main question of the Seder. Why is this night different from all other nights? This night is different from all other nights because on this night we tell the story of Passover as inscribed in the book of Exodus. This night is also different because we participate in rituals that have been observed at Passover Seders for centuries by our Jewish ancestors. We remind ourselves every year at this time that we were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, and God took us out with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. If God had not liberated our ancestors from Egyptian slavery, then we and our children and our children's children might still be slaves in the land of Egypt. Even if we know the story well and have told it many times, it is essential to be reminded of the details so we don't forget. By recognizing the oppression of our enslaved ancestors, we gain a greater appreciation of the freedom we enjoy today. As we participate in the rituals of the Seder, we should not only make sure the story of Passover is told and the significance of each component of the Seder is explained, but we should also engage the children in the proceedings. So kids, if you're watching at home, pay attention. The children are encouraged to ask questions regarding the rituals of the evening. If they don't, the elders take on the role of teacher and explain using language appropriate to each child's ability to understand. The 4 children, the wise, the wicked, the simple, and the too young to ask. Most of us have shown qualities of the 4 children in our lives at one time or another. Because we all learn in different ways and at our own pace, when sharing the meaning of Passover with children, it's important to approach them in a way that best suits their ever-evolving personality and ability to learn. The wise child. I turn to one of the wisest people I know. hopefully.
There you go. Wait, do it again. Yep.
Jim?
Hi, Dave. Hi, Carrie. Thanks so much for the invitation to be with you in your home. I so applaud your attitude. These holidays are clearly different, and we have choices. And our choices are: we could roll up in a ball and say, "I wish it was the way it used to be," or you could say, "It is the way it is, and I'm going to make it good." And what you're doing here is the ultimate example of adaptability and positivity. So, in terms of the wise child, the wise or studious child likes to study and analyze the details. Give this child the tools to discover the meaning of Passover on their own and explain to them why it's important to retell the story of Exodus each year.
Thank you very much, Jim. And for the wicked child, I turn to a very, very long time dear friend, Anita Rosner.
Can you hear me? You can, okay. And thank you for having me. The wicked child. The wicked or rebellious child probably wants little to do with Passover, and they exclude themselves from getting involved. A typical response can be, "What's this got to do with me?" Explain that Passover is a celebration of the freedom we all enjoy. Since this child lacks empathy, ask questions that get them involved, like, how would it feel if you were a slave and freed by God?
Thank you very much. And the simple child, and this was Dan. You know, I don't think of you as simple. I think of you as very, very complex and wonderful. But we turn now to a dear friend and amazing author of at least 73 books, Dan Paisner.
Some of them very, very simple books. Chag Sameach to all, good health and good cheer to all. Dave and Carrie, thank you for doing this. For a simple child who is easily overwhelmed, give a simple explanation. Don't confuse them with details. Instead, tell them the basic facts of the story and explain the general meaning of Passover in terms they can understand.
Thank you, sir. And my lovely newlywed bride.
Yeah, let's move that. Yep. Okay. The child too young to ask. Maybe they're too young to form a question or unable to ask one because they simply don't understand. Perhaps this child of God may be an adult that lacks the capacity to speak or lives with some other disability. Treat them with love, understanding, and patience, and explain the meaning of Passover in terms that they can relate to. Try telling stories or singing songs and make it a festive time.
Thank you very much. At home, welcome again to the virtual Seder. If you want to download the Haggadah and follow along at home, you can go to 30minuteseder.com. If you want to support America's Food Fund for COVID relief for those that are hungry, you can go to, I want to say it was Give to Passover. Okay, hold on.
Give to or give on?
Hold on. It was giveforpassover.com.
Yes, I was like, it's not give to, but
giveforpassover.com.
Give for Passover.
Give
F-O-R.
now, give FOR.
Yes.
For passover.com. Give now, give early. Never did I think when I was running a Seder, I would be promoting giving to charity throughout the Seder. But again, new world.
Well, it's tzedakah.
It is tzedakah. It
tzedakah.
is the best thing I believe you can do on a Seder is to give to others. So we continue. We toast our endurance as a people. The matzahs are uncovered. Please lift your cup if you've got a cup somewhere, here, at home, anywhere. I know, Jim, you said you would be drinking with us, so thank you in advance for that. Throughout the ages we have endured, for not only has one risen against us to annihilate us, but in every generation they rise against us to annihilate us. But Adonai, the Holy One of blessing, rescues us from their hand. We now put down the cups, and I'm gonna talk through the story of Passover for you guys now. So here's the deal. We weren't always slaves in Egypt. We became slaves. And the story of how we became slaves to the pharaohs of Egypt and ultimately how we were freed is really the basis of the story of Passover. It's part of history that belongs to all of us. By telling the story year after year, we're ensuring that we'll never forget our oppression or our freedom. As with most of just gonna mute everyone.
Yep, you got it. You're
Okay,
good.
very good. As with most of religious history, the story has been passed on from generation to generation. And tonight, especially if there are children present, you're perpetuating an important ritual. Now, speaking of important rituals, thanks to my good friends at ImageThink that are doing custom backgrounds now, we may have a special treat for you guys here. I can figure out how to do it. I'm
You
gonna
had
try.
it before. You did it.
Did have it before. Am I the host? I should have it
You
as
are
the
the
host.
host.
So where is? Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I have a good feeling about this. Yeah. Here we go.
Okay, this is right.
This is right. We've got.
Oh, you didn't do 4
Yeah.
questions.
I know it's okay. It's okay. But here's one. We're home. So welcome to our home where we are taking you in. And what I'm really most proud of is this spectacular, enormous rainbow that Carrie and the kids made, a sign that every storm runs out of rain. And when the storm runs out of rain, the rainbow arrives. And so please enjoy a nice view of that rainbow. I'm going to catch us up here. This was our exciting background for the lighting of the candles and the first glass of wine. Look at this amazing work
Seder
that Sam
plate.
did. The Seder plate. We've got the parsley. We've got the matzah. We've
4
got the 4
questions.
questions. What are they? Now we've got the children. Let's see. We've got the wicked child. Huh. Look at that. We've got the wise child. You may recognize him as the man that actually predicted the global pandemic years ago and gave a TED talk on it that nobody paid attention to. We've got the simple child, and we've got the one who is too afraid to ask.
Taking a note.
Okay, and now we continue with the Passover story. I guess I'll use this for the beginning of the Passover story. So here we go. Yeah, I got it right here.
Cool.
Okay, so many years ago in the land of Egypt, Joseph, the son of Jacob and Rachel, was sold into slavery by his brothers. Joseph was skilled and intelligent and soon became an official in the court of Egyptian Pharaoh. Joseph could interpret dreams, which he sometimes used to predict the future. He offered the Pharaoh his prediction of an upcoming famine, which the Pharaoh heeded. Because Joseph's timely advice saved the land from a great famine, Pharaoh invited them to stay when Joseph's family came to Egypt searching for food. They lived in peace for many years and became known as Israelites. Years later, a new Pharaoh came to rule. He did not remember Joseph and all he had done for the Egyptians. He saw that the Israelites' population was growing rapidly and feared that in a war they might side with the enemy and become a danger to Egypt. To remove the problem of the Israelites, Pharaoh enslaved them. He forced them to work hard, building his cities and palaces, baking bricks and carrying stones in the desert heat. They knew neither peace nor rest, only misery and pain. To limit their population, Pharaoh decreed, every baby boy born to an Israelite woman shall be drowned in the river. In an effort to save their baby, Amram and Yocheved, a Jewish slave couple, hid him in a basket on the riverbank. When Pharaoh's daughter, the princess, came down to the river to bathe, she found the baby and decided to take him home to the palace. The princess named the baby Moses, which needed a nurse to feed and care for the baby. The princess looked for a Jewish nurse. Yocheved's daughter Miriam, who was hiding by the river watching, came out and told the princess that she knew of a nurse. She ran home and brought Yocheved back to the princess, not revealing that she was really Moses' mother. Yocheved became Moses' nurse and was able to care for him throughout his childhood. Moses, being the adopted son of the princess, would have lived a rich life in the Pharaoh's palace, but he could not bear to see his people suffer as slaves. One day he came upon an Egyptian taskmaster who was beating an Israelite slave. In a fit of rage, Moses beat the Egyptian to death. His crime soon became known, and Moses was forced to leave his homeland and flee into the desert. Wandering around the desert, he came upon a family of shepherds in the land of Midian. He was taken in and became a shepherd himself. One day while tending to his sheep, Moses came upon a bush that was on fire. Although it was burning, it was not being consumed. He heard God's voice coming from the bush, telling Moses to go back to Egypt and free his people from slavery and lead them out of Egypt. Because Moses was merely a shepherd, he asked God, "How may I accomplish this great task? I am but a lowly shepherd, and I am of impaired speech." God replied, "Go forth to Egypt with your wooden staff. I will be by your side, and the Pharaoh will be forced to free your people." Carrie, you want to spell me for a moment?
I don't know what that means.
You want to continue? Or
No,
not?
you want me to read?
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh,
love.
just ask me to read. Okay, Moses returned to Egypt and went to see the Pharaoh with his brother Aaron and as his spokesperson. "Let my people go," Moses demanded, but Pharaoh had a hardened heart and refused. Through Moses, God brought forth 10 plagues on the people of Egypt. The plagues at first amused the Pharaoh, but soon frightened him. The Pharaoh promised to free the slaves several times, but God hardened the Pharaoh's heart many times, and each time he agreed to free the Israelite slaves, Pharaoh went back on his word. After the 9th plague, God said to Moses, "I will bring one more plague upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Toward midnight, I will go forth among the Egyptians, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne to the firstborn of the slave girl who is behind the millstones, and all of the firstborns of the cattle. And there shall be a loud cry in all the land of Egypt, such as has never been or will never be again." God then instructed Moses to tell his people to take a lamb from among their flocks and sacrifice it at twilight, taking some of the blood to paint a mark on the 2 doorposts and lintel of their homes. Moses was further instructed by God to have his people roast the lamb over a fire and eat it with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs that same night. At midnight, God brought forth the 10th and most devastating plague, the killing of the firstborn. In every Egyptian household, the firstborn child suddenly took ill and died, but the plague passed over the homes of the Israelite slaves. It was then that the Pharaoh finally agreed to free the Israelites. While we celebrate the freeing of the Israelites from slavery, God has instructed us to take no pleasure in the suffering of the Egyptians. To commemorate that suffering, each person dips their little finger into their wine and places a drop on their plate as we recite the 10 plagues that God brought down upon the Egyptians.
Thank you very much, Carrie. And Carrie, I'm going to ask you to do that while the 10 plagues with some special help from, again, our custom Zoom backgrounds as we try
do you
to
want me
get
say them as
super fancy. I'll say them,
Okay.
and then you dip.
But you're going to need this here because you're not going to.
No, I have them on and they're
sweet.
labeled on the back. Well, I'll use that too, just in
Okay.
case. Just in case. Okay, here we go. Here we go. The first plague was, hold on, ready? Blood.
Okay.
Frogs. Carrie, your personal favorite, lice.
Ugh, my worst nightmare.
Wild beasts. That's a special shout out to
Tiger King?
yeah.
Yes.
Cattle plague. Boils. Hail. Locusts. Darkness.
Oh my God.
It's so dark. And of course, killing of the firstborn.
No appropriate.
Not sure what
I'm
that
sure
is.
that's
Nor is
okay.
there really a good
I
joke
think it's
about
like
that.
the angel
Although
of death. It's horrible.
we're both the
It's
first.
not amusing.
We're both firstborn.
We are. But
So
we're
killing of
here,
the firstborn has always
and
not
we're
been
here. There you go.
my favorite plague. Not a good one. Okay.
Whose favorite plague might it be? It is the most.
Well, if you're the youngest kid, then I guess killing
I
of the
don't think
firstborn is
so.
not it
don't
might not
think
be your
so.
least favorite
I
plague. Is
don't
all I'm
think so.
saying. Wouldn't be your favorite plague.
Okay.
Unless you hate hate
Okay.
your oldest brother or sister. If you really hated them.
All right.
Just saying, you asked. Okay. We are moving on. Moses did not trust the Pharaoh. I'm not going. I want to change it right now. That's okay. They can just see me for this. He told his people to quickly pack whatever they could carry, and Moses led them out of Egypt into the desert. With no time to bake their bread, the people carried their kneading bowls and their dough, wrapped in cloaks upon their shoulders. Once free and in the desert, they baked the dough on the hot rocks into the matzah. But once again, the Pharaoh changed his mind and sent his soldiers to capture the Israelites. As Pharaoh's army caught up with the Israelites at the Red Sea, God told Moses to hold up his wooden staff. Suddenly, a huge wind came up, and the Red Sea parted, allowing all the freed slaves to pass. Once all the Israelites were safely across, Moses again held up his staff, and the waters closed upon the Pharaoh's soldiers, killing all of them. Finally, the Israelites were truly free. And now we're going to try a little of the song. Like, I'm guessing Jim doesn't, but I'm going to unmute everyone that wants to be unmuted. And we're going to try to sing a little Dayenu here. Here we go. Is everyone unmuted? All right, here we go. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Ilu hotzi hotzi anu mi Mitzrayim anu mi Mitzrayim dayenu 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 dayenu. Not bad. Thank you, everyone. All right, so I mentioned before that this holiday is all about gratitude, and Dayenu is really about saying that we would have had enough, no matter what. It would have been enough, and I'll use this opportunity again to remind myself that in a world where it's very, very easy right now to complain about stuff that's going on in my world, in your world, in the world around us, you know what? Dayenu. All I need is my family and my health and my happiness. That is definitely enough. And everything else is gravy, but Dayenu, that is enough. So thank you, God, or whoever it is out there that has given me enough. All right, here we go. We continue with the maror.
I think you missed blessing over the matzah.
Hold on, I don't want to skip the matzah. Thank you, Carrie.
Right.
Very good,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, just do symbols, the matzah.
All right, here we go.
That's it.
Okay,
Just
perfect.
matzah.
We're making great time. By the way, if you're watching at home, again, thank you so much for joining us on this Seder. Please share the YouTube link and the Facebook link with your network so that we can share this Seder with as many people as would like to come and join our Seder. Please share the link. It's super easy, passoverlive.com. And if you can give for passover.com as well. And if you want to follow along with the Haggadah, it's 30minuteseder.com. And enough with the .coms already. Let's go get back to the Seder. We've got the symbols for the matzah. We're going to do the second cup of wine first. So hand me that wine if you would, Kara. L'chalam Borei Pri Hagafen. Drink the second cup of the wine while reclining, leaning to the left. My brother Phil in Washington, D.C. really tends to lean to the right. So we often have challenges as we are forced to lean to the left on Passover. Fun Passover humor. Thanks. Okay, so this bone, we get the bone still? No? Okay. The bone that is currently with the rotten egg outside our Passover Seder room represents the mighty arm of God that convinced the Egyptians to free the slaves. It also represents the Paschal lamb that was used as a special sacrifice in the days of the ancient temple in Jerusalem. Raise the matzah up high. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshenu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. Thank you for the bread from the earth. Thank you for the matzah. And now I'm going to eat a little matzah. You want a little matzah, Karen?
No, thank you.
All right.
I don't need it.
A little matzah for me.
Blessing over the bitter herbs. You're going to need this.
Next, we get some bitter herbs. All right. Don't worry, our daughter's a pig, so the fact that we're in her room, no problem. All right. We have a little bit of herbs. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, who has commanded us concerning the eating of maror, the bitter. And then my wife's favorite, the Hillel sandwich. With a little of
I'll
this.
make it for you.
Harry's going to make me a Hillel sandwich while I read about it. The bottom matzah is now taken. We make a sandwich out of matzah, maror, and charoset. Kazaret, second bitter herb is often used. And we're actually making very good time. We'll be done in a few minutes. Yeah, we'll do the virtual afikomen. We'll find the matzah somewhere in the world.
There you go.
And very good. Thank you. All right. Now, the third cup of wine already. All right. Thank you. We're moving fast now. Okay. By the way, before we wrap up, I'm going to give anyone else that's joined us here, Dan, Jim, Anita, Dana, if you want to say something, feel free to. You don't have to at all, but if you do want to say anything else, just let me know. Just put your hand up. I'll let you say another few words about everything that we're going through. But again, no pressure at all either. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. All right. And now we're going to hold up a cup for Elijah, the prophet.
It's our favorite cup.
This is a great cup made by which one of our children?
Seth.
Okay, very good.
We have old ones from Charlotte.
Thank you, Seth.
Most recent.
Someday the prophet Elijah will return to earth to lead the way for an age of peace. In the spirit of Passover, as a celebration of freedom, we welcome Elijah into our home and to our Seder. And Carrie, normally we'd open the front door of the house, but I think you can open the door to the room that we're in right now, symbolically.
Yes. I hope Elijah is not quarantined.
Elijah is has been tested. Actually,
Okay.
he's negative, so he can come
has
into
the
our house.
antibodies.
Enter Elijah the prophet. May you soon come and issue in the great age of peace. Okay, just the first verse. Ready? Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hakilati. Very nice. Catching up with our custom backgrounds. That's I believe the
Bitter
Pascal.
herb. No, that's the bitter herb.
That's the herb.
That's yeah.
That's the Hillel sandwich. Thank you, Sam. These are great.
Okay.
This is the blank screen. That is Elijah.
Hey, Elijah.
Welcome. Elijah's here officially. How exciting is that?
It's cute.
Welcome,
Very,
Elijah.
Very cute.
It's great to have you here. We'll keep you here, Elijah, for the remainder.
Not happy Passover?
No, but I'm gonna come. That's coming on next. I promise during the afikomen. So here we go.
So the Seder part is over. The book part is over for this.
It's not quite over. It's almost over though. Hold on. Hold on. We got the fourth cup of wine.
Yeah. So let's do that.
All right. A little more wine there. Thank you. And believe it or not, I mean, 4 cups of wine in a very abbreviated Seder is very difficult to do. So I'm going to slow down on this one. But Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, creator of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Sweet, sweet Manischewitz wine. And if you're watching at home, we're going to give away a $100 gift card to Amazon.com. And you have to find the afikomen. And the way you're going to do it is you're going to ask questions, yes or no questions. And I will answer yes or no questions. And then the exact precise location of the afikomen will win the $100 gift card to Amazon.com. So the only way to win is to ask yes or no question. And when you get the yes, and remember, it's a very, very precise location. One year it was hidden and on the 3rd floor of the Eiffel Tower, for instance. Just saying, precise location to win. And before we do that, as I mentioned earlier, does anyone, again, no pressure, but any of our special guests want to say a few more words? Not seeing. Okay, that's fine. That's fine too. That's fine too. Dan's just drinking. Perfect.
Did you unmute me, Dave?
I unmuted you, but perhaps I shouldn't have.
Well, I have something very simple to say because I am the simple child.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Carrie and Dave, for inviting me to participate. This is really a wonderful thing. And I was thinking last night how Passover in our household, in our family, is really a time to celebrate family and to be with each other. And we normally have 30 or so folks at our table. And last night they were scattered around the world, quarantined in Paris, in Florida, in Hawaii, in California, in Brooklyn, on the Upper East Side, down the block in Manor Haven, in Port Washington. So it really was a bittersweet evening, but it was an important time to remember. I lost you there. Am I still there?
Yeah, you're still here.
That we should be keeping our family close and holding them close, even if we cannot be near. So a Hag Sameach to all.
Hag Sameach.
Hag Sameach, and thank you very much, Dan, for again for joining us today. And now what I'm going to do.
I think it's going to be a sound challenge.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to mute it. That's why.
Hag Sameach.
Hag Sameach, and thank you very much. No problem. Celia is here. Very exciting. All right. It's a huge crowd. All right. So this may or may not work, but we're going to try. So what I'm going to do is this. If you would, please, if you want to try to find the Afikomen, I have hidden this Afikomen right here, virtually somewhere around the world. Ironically, I've been doing virtual Afikomen for 15 years. Before virtual was even a thing, I was doing it. I'm just saying. So I have hidden the virtual Afikomen somewhere around the world. And if you are watching on YouTube Live, I am going to look for questions about where the Afikomen is. I will take only any yes or no questions that you give. There's a little bit of a delay, so it'll take a moment or so. Any yes or no questions that you give, I will answer until the person correctly guesses where the virtual Afikomen is, and then that person, the first person that I see, the first person I identify in the chat, will win a $100 gift card to Amazon.com. All right. And while we wait for those questions to hopefully come in, I want to thank again all of our friends for joining us at home, and also most important, all of our friends that made this happen, Sam and Rob from Apprentice and Remembering.live, Anita and Dana and Dan and Jim. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for giving up almost an actual whole hour of your lives. I really, really do very, very much appreciate it. And now, this may be a complete fail. I have no idea. Actually, first, before I do that, I have some important work to do on here. Now is the time, as you said, Carrie, to do a little of this. Hold on. Elijah is still here in theory, but I'm going to say Happy Passover to everyone. And
one thing you could do too is if you can't do the virtual Afikomen live, you could always take it to Twitter and have it as a thread. If it doesn't go live.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And especially because the Zoom is for 6, it often doesn't take 9 minutes to find the virtual Afikomen. So you could collect questions.
Well, let's see what happens. If we don't have any questions now, we're not doing virtual Afikomen.
Right.
I'm about to check on YouTube. If there are no questions, there will be no virtual Afikomen this year. It will be after the Seder that the winner is chosen.
It could be even
more
effective.
It could be huge. It could be like
a
suspenseful thing. Afterwards, all weekend, people could be trying to figure out where the Afikomen is. You never know. In the meantime, just gonna try to minimize without hanging up. Any idea how I do that, love? All right, hold on. There we go. That feels like a good thing.
Go to your YouTube thing. Yeah, look how nice that is.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna say. All
No, live chat.
right. Not seeing a lot of questions about the Afikomen.
I have an idea.
I have hidden it, by the way.
Is
I know
you
exactly
need
where
to
it is.
tweet, I've hidden the virtual Afikomen
Yes.
somewhere in the world.
Yes,
And you must guess. And then you do the hashtag, whatever's related to this, which could be Passover
it's true.
Live,
Passover Live is the
any
hashtag.
of these things. And then as it builds over time,
That's
because
correct.
I think one of the benefits, one of the amazing things that you did here, Dave, is you put together a Seder that is short and fun that people can watch at their leisure.
They can watch over and over
enjoy.
again.
Yes, yes. So you have done a great gift.
Don't even worry
for
about it.
people
I
who
hear
need
you.
to do
I
it.
like the pivot. You know, entrepreneurs need to learn how to pivot. We've been pivoting nonstop in the last few weeks. We're going to pivot again.
Yes.
We're not going to give away the virtual Afikomen Live.
Not here.
I know if you were waiting and excited to win, I'm letting you down, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to move this whole thing onto Twitter. We're going to give away the virtual Afikomen. We may even double the prize. I don't know. I might know an entrepreneur or two who
He's
might
had 4 glasses of wine.
throw in an
so-
extra prize. I'm just saying, no pressure, but if anyone wants to up the ante on the prize, it could happen. Here's my point. On behalf of the entire Kirpin family and my dear friends, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Happy Passover, everyone. And to me, whether you're Jewish or not, it is a moment to have hope. It is a moment to be grateful. It is a moment to look forward. And I know these times are super, super tough. I get it. They're tough on me too. But we always have 2 choices. Like Jim said earlier, we have 2 choices. We can roll up in a ball in the fetal position and hide and hope everything goes away, or we can breathe, think positively, and take forward steps every single day to just make the world a better place for ourselves, for our families, and for our communities. I hope you all choose the latter. Until then, till next time, happy Passover,
Happy
everyone.
Passover.
Next year in Jerusalem.